Hello everyone, welcome back to Push Horizon podcast, where we explore the stories of runners who push past pain, setbacks, and self-doubt to discover what they are really made of. My guest today is Angus, a runner who has walked through the fire more than once. In 2024, he DNF'd at Rocky Raccoon and again at Grasslands. But he didn't back down. On his third 100-mile attempt at Dino Valley, he faced yet another wall at mile 65. But this time, something changed. He finished. He's now recovering from the surgery and aiming for another 100-mile this spring to keep stacking tickets for his dream race, that is Western State. This episode is about redemption and the power of showing up again. So let's get right into it, and please let me today's guest, Angus. Hey Angus, welcome to the Pushing Horizon podcast. I'm so glad you are here. You've been one of those people I followed for a long time, and seeing your journey, the way you never gave up and kept fighting, that has always inspired me. And I'm so glad to talk about it today and learn more about you and learn more about things that happened and what motivates you. I think this is going to be a good conversation.
Yeah, glad to be here. I've known you for a couple of years. You're one of the first people I started talking to on Instagram. Always good seeing all the running you're doing, and always good going back and forth with you.
All right, so let's start from the top. How did running enter your life, and what pulled you forward towards the ultra distances?
I got into running. First, I was really into just working out in general. Yeah, I was trying to make my health better. I had a lot of health problems back in 2014, 2015. So trying to make all that better, and diet and exercise. I spent a lot of time in the gym, but then I got bored with the gym and I wanted to do something with it. So I got into Tough Mudder and Spartan Race, which I feel like so many people in the ultra running world go that way. You got to run for those, turn into a lot of running. And then I just really started to find that more interesting. Then when everything closed in 2020 and you couldn't go to the gym anymore, I started running more. And I had a friend who did a couple ultra marathons. And when I went and paced him and got to see what that was like, it was just really cool to me to see a whole different world and really pushing to new limits. And that was something I wanted to try and do and see how far I could take things.
I think 2024 was big. A lot of people like that with all the COVID and everything slowed down. And also to follow up on the question, have you ever done road races?
Yeah, I've done one road half marathon in Virginia Beach back in like 2017. And I finished that and I said I was never going to do anything longer than a half marathon. I've done that and I've done one 5K. That's the only road races I've ever done.
That's what we always say though, right? We'll say that we'll not run again, but then again 5K, 10K, half, then it escalates. Then it becomes 50K, 80K and 100K and more 160K for you.
Yeah, I feel like that's always kind of what happens with people. You finish the race and you say, that was awful, I'm never going to do it again. And then you kind of recover a little bit and you want to try a little more, and it just keeps going from.
And also following up on that topic, what trails give you that road races does not give?
Yeah, one thing I really like about trail races is just the community of it all. It's usually a lot more relaxed than what I see when people talk about road races. You don't have those giant crowds and having to take a bus to the starting area and all those big corrals and all. It's usually maybe 100-200 people and nice and relaxed. And I get kind of bored running on roads for a long time. There's not as much to see and to look at versus trail running. You got to watch every step you take. You got to watch everywhere you go, and it kind of keeps everything a little more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. In Texas, you have to keep an eye on those snakes. I know because I ran there a few times, and around the lakes and stuff, I always have to be wary about all of those snakes.
Yeah, you saw that snake that I posted. That guy, he snuck right up on me. That was a bit of a surprise.
I don't know what would I have done because snakes makes me yucky, and it's so hard to go back once I saw it. So I don't think I would have gone back. No way.
Yeah, it's really scary the first time you won, but then they're easier to see than you think they are. It seems like it sneaks up on you, but they're easier to find. So at least you just pay more attention, but you're kind of more confident how it'll all go.
Yeah, that's my worry right now, is that I run on the road so much. I also do trail usually, but now as I am getting to the trail running, then I have to pay attention on the road so that I don't step on the snakes and stuff like that, because they will bite you when you accidentally do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little more risk and all, but I like that it keeps you more focused and more aware. That was part of, I didn't want to do another race after the half marathon, was I just kind of got bored running on the road. So I was like, I can't imagine doing this twice as long.
And also, what do you do while you are running? Do you run with music or without music?
I usually listen to music or podcasts or audiobooks, but I always make sure that I have at least one ear open so I can hear other people coming, or if I'm on the road, hear cars coming, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I need to start doing that.
So you don't use headphones?
I have no cancellation in, so I don't hear it.
Yeah, no, it's especially, I mean, I guess it kind of depends where you run and all. Here in Texas, you got to do a lot of running on the actual road. There's not a lot of sidewalk in some of the spots, so you got to hear where the cars are.
Yeah, man, that was weird about Texas because I was in Florida before I moved to Texas and there were a lot of side paths to run and stuff. But then when I moved to Texas, I was in Temple area and it was so weird because I didn't see any sidewalks. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, there's areas with sidewalks, but a lot of it is you're just in the road going for it.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah, but you got to do what you can with what you got.
True. All right. Now, this is probably going to be one of the hardest topic to talk about. So 2024, you had a few DNF, Raccoon in February and then the Grasslands in April. Can you please walk us through what happened in each races?
Yeah, so both of them, I really got beat up by the weather. Rocky, there was a ton of rain the week before, not during the race. There was only a little bit of rain during the race, but all the rain flooded out big sections of the trail that we were running in. So the trail was supposed to be, nice and dry and good footing, and there was lots of sections you were running through like ankle or even knee-deep water that was pretty cold. My feet just were cold and wet the entire time. During the day, it was warm enough, that was fine, but then once nighttime hit and it got a little bit colder and my energy got lower, I just got way too cold, and right around mile 70, I just couldn't stop shaking and I wasn't thinking straight, so that's why I decided to drop out of that one. Just cold, wet feet and cold wind just is not a good combination to keep going that long.
Oh yeah, definitely. I saw your post after your race and what you have posted, and I saw your feed and they were little bad on that one.
Yeah, as soon as you went out the start of each loop, there was like ankle deep mud 5 minutes in that you couldn't really go around. So even you change your socks, you change your shoes, it doesn't matter. They're just cold and wet again.
I think that's one of the aspects I need to get used to running in wet because I don't really like my shoes and socks wet because it makes me feel yucky.
Yeah, it's never fun. It doesn't always happen. Dino, the other race I did, my feet were dry the whole time.
Both the races had the same situation, right? Because I know there was flooding on Grasslands too.
Grasslands was dry for the first like 4 or 5 hours, and then a big thunderstorm came through. It rained on us for a couple hours in a row, and I didn't have a rain jacket, I didn't have anything, and the ground just went from like nice solid runnable stuff with kind of some sand to just super deep mud that you were sliding around in. It's one of the only times I fell because I was slipping so much I would just fall on the side of the hill. I was soaked head to toe all through my clothes and everything, and just got way too cold. My hands turned a little blue on that one, which is never good. So once I got back to the start finish area around mile 40, 45, I just called it a day because you couldn't even walk in that mud. It was so sloppy.
Was it like a usual pattern for that particular race, or is it something abnormal happen?
It was pretty abnormal. They don't usually get rain around then. It was a little early for there to be that much rain in the year. But everybody did say leading up to the race, they're like, it's really runnable unless there's any rain. If there's any rain, then it gets really muddy really fast. And when I signed up there, like a week or two before the race, there was still no rain. But as the week went on, it just more and more rain came into the forecast. So it was just pretty bad luck.
And also, when you signed up for the Dino Valley one, did you have this thing in your mind? Because in previous races, even though the forecasts were perfectly fine, then it changed and impacted your race. So was this thing running through your head for that race as well?
Yeah, I was definitely worried about it. 2 races in a row that I got too cold when I was running. I started to feel like a pattern. One of the big changes that I made, I bought a better rain jacket so I would have it. But then at Grasslands, I had a rain jacket at the start finish area. I saw like, oh, it's supposed to rain later in the day, so I'll grab it on a later loop. But the weather always changes, so then the rain showed up earlier and I was out in the middle of the loop and I couldn't get to my jacket. So for Dino, I just put it in my vest and I ran with it the entire race. So just in case surprise rain came in or suddenly I started feeling colder, I would at least have a jacket so I could try and stay warm.
Yeah, that's a smarter way to do it. And I'm so glad that you finished it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was much better weather. It was actually pretty hot the whole time. It was funny. The start finish area was really cold and my crew was really cold, but I just threw on my jacket right when I was passing through that spot. But other than that, I was nice and warm the whole time. It was just really dusty there. That was the only downside.
Yeah, and at least no rain, so that is good.
Yeah, that was just another thing to deal with. Us breathing all that dust made it a little rough. I know a lot of people like me were struggling with it. You breathe in a little too much dust, but at least it was still like you could kind of slow down and manage that versus the rain. There's nothing you could really do to make that any better.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. And also, if it's a continuous rain and not for like 1 hour or 2 hour, then it's really hard, because if you cannot get dry, then that really impacts you.
Yeah, there's only, if you can't get dry again, then you just get colder, and you can take in more fuel, eat more, and that can help, but there's only so far that really goes.
And since we are in this topic, did you learn anything from the Rocky that helped you in the grassland, or was it a completely different beast?
I mean, it was definitely different, but some of the big things were like, it's really important to fuel early on. It's easy when things start going bad to get away from fueling, and then the more tired you get, the less you want to eat, the less you want to drink, and then you start to feel worse, and it's just a spiral you can get stuck in. So that was one big difference. And then just having, I think I kind of got in my head of carry as little gear as possible so you're carrying less weight. As a middle to back of the pack kind of runner, carrying my jacket, carrying an extra buff for the dust, that doesn't really make a big difference, but staying warm or being able to use that as a mask would have made a big difference. It's worth the extra couple ounces here and there.
What kind and where did you find this motivation, or where did this motivation come from? Because you were trying to do this 100-miler and then weather were not in your favor and you were not able to complete it. So how did you get this motivation back to go at it again in the Dino Valley?
Yeah, I think part of it, I felt pretty good after the races, soreness-wise and everything. And I was pretty convinced that the weather was a big part of it. For Rocky, I made it 70 miles on my first try. So I knew I kind of had it in me, and it wasn't necessarily a training thing. It was just more of the weather getting in the way. And I just said I wanted to finish one of those, and I didn't like having just the DNFs on my record instead of having one done. So for me, I was like, I gotta finish one just to see what it feels like. I made it too close to never get it done.
Yeah, third time the charm really came in, and then that was also not smooth like a sailing for you, because what was going down at mile 65?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned before that I really struggled with the dust out there. I noticed at night you could see the dust blowing in the air on my headlamp, so it was getting pretty hard to breathe. I couldn't really do anything more than a fast walk, and so it was really like killing my time and killing my pace, and I started getting in my head that I wasn't going to make the cutoffs. I was like, there's no way I can keep going that long. I'm not going to get there in time. Just another silly thing beat me up. But the running coach I work with, he had just kind of really driven into my mind before I went out there. His mantra was, don't die in the chair. Basically, don't quit on your own. Don't make the decision to quit. Make the race. Make the decision for you. We had agreed, unless something serious was happening, some kind of injury or something like that, I was going to keep walking until the race told me I wasn't allowed to keep going. And that's kind of how I got through it. But between the dust and the time I was losing to bathroom breaks and trying to stop and all, I really didn't think I was going to get there. I kept thinking like, oh, this is the perfect day, and still I'm not going to finish, so maybe it's not meant for me. But it's kind of what happens in those long ones. You get in those low spots as the weekend goes on.
And also you mentioned something about the pace. So what did your pacer say or do that help you shift that mindset at that particular moment?
Yeah, right around then, my crew just kept telling me, just keep walking, you'll feel better. And I did it out of spite towards them. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll keep walking. And then tomorrow afternoon, they're going to pull me off the course and we'll all waste another day. But whatever, I'll keep walking. One thing that really helped was when I was really at a low, my buddy who was pacing me took the pressure off of everything. So we were, in a way, just two buddies out on a hike in the woods and having some fun, taking the pressure and the stress off of it. And then as I was feeling a little better and I was coughing less, he realized I was ready to run again, and he started pushing me. He would just tell me like, oh, you got to keep up with me, and then he would start running ahead of me and I would chase him, that kind of thing.
In those kind of moments where you are feeling like that, and then like, it's all in the head, and sometimes you just have to distract it to go forward. Did a pacer help you to get out of this situation?
Yeah, I mean, they just kept me focused on moving forward. I think one of the big things that happens is once you start getting in your head a little bit, you'll walk too much or you'll sit down and take a break. I saw people like sitting on a rock, that kind of thing. But one of the more important things things to remember is that forward is a pace, and as long as you keep walking, you're still getting closer. And they would push me like, oh, you're walking slow, just walk a little faster. And then if there was a nice area with no rocks that was flat, they'd be like, all right, you have to at least pick your feet up, shuffle a little bit. And the more that worked, then they would point out like, hey, because you shuffled a little bit, we went 2 minutes faster per mile. And that kind of thing adds up, and just you rebuild that momentum to keep going.
And also, as you were getting closer and closer, was there a single moment when you realized that, oh, I'm actually going to finish this thing?
Yeah, I think it was pretty late. I guess there were 2 points. Mile 80, 85, when I became determined to finish it again, where it went from like a spiteful, fine, I'll keep walking and I'll just walk until they tell me I'm not allowed to anymore, to no, I'm going to push it and I'm going to finish. The switch flipped back on. And then the last cutoff I had to hit was mile 95. I had to be out of the start-finish area by a certain point. And it was loops, so you start to recognize how far away you are. And I was like 2 miles away, and I had like an hour and a half to get there. So I was like, I can do that easily, and this means I'm actually going to do it. And that was a pretty great moment to realize it was actually going to happen.
And how did you feel like when you crossed the line? Because after 2 DNF, you were so determined to do this, and the weight was not in your favor, but this time you pulled through. And then when you crossed that line, I saw a picture. So what was going through at that moment for you?
It was super exciting. I was exhausted, so it was hard to even think straight. I'd been up for 36 hours. I was just so happy and so proud. There was definitely a part of me that never wanted to do another one again, but I was still in kind of disbelief that I got it done. It's one thing when you watch all the videos and the documentaries of people running 100 miles, but it is one of those things. It's the same with running a marathon and all. You can hear people talk about doing it, but it's something that it's so different for everybody. You don't totally know what it feels like until you do it.
Yeah. It's a different ballgame. A lot of people compare marathon and trail running, and you cannot, because it's like a different beast, because the elevation and then the level of technicality to run the trails is just immense. Because on road, like when you're doing a road marathon, you just run. You don't stop. You don't have to think. On a hill, you may have to adjust your strategy or whatever. But when you're running those 100 milers, and then it's insane. You have to think when to preserve your energy and when you want to push, when to walk. There is so many different kind of things that you have to think of other than just running. And it's like absurd when people say or downplay the achievement of trail running. It's just stupid.
I mean, they're both difficult in their own way. Road marathons are hard. I've never run one, and a lot of people run them a lot faster than I do. But one thing that's different, you hear about people hitting the wall, and people hit the wall at mile 20, and people hit the wall on a 100-miler, and hitting the wall there means they're sitting in an aid station chair and they think they can't walk another step, and then they get up and walk and run another 20 or 30 miles. It's just, you go through different lows, which make the highs at the end feel even better. I texted my crew at mile like 55 that I couldn't walk uphill anymore because it was too hard to breathe. And at mile 80 and 90, I was jogging up that same hill. So it's crazy the difference in what you go through and kind of what the comeback looks like.
Do you also think the perseverance really helps when you are doing these long distances? Because if the weathers are bad, then there is nothing really you can do. But when you are doing this journey and then going through it, then does it help to be like, I'm going to do it? And then does that kind of self-talk or small talk help you?
I think that's a huge thing. You can't really question it. You gotta just believe that you're gonna get it done, and you gotta believe that it'll get better. Because once you start questioning it, you really go more and more downhill.
Was that what you felt on the Dino one when you were doing it? I know the believing in yourself is like a huge thing when you are doing this thing, because otherwise you wouldn't even try it if you don't think you could do it. But when you are going through this low moment in different part of the race, did that help you?
Yeah, I wish I'd believed in myself a little bit more at the low point. I think that would have made the low point a little bit shorter, a little easier to get through. But I definitely had more confidence going into it. You never know what's going to happen in a 100-mile race, but I was at least confident that I could handle more and I could deal with more tough stuff. So that was always pretty rough. But you gotta just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's the big thing with all of it.
And also in this kind of topic, how did your mindset evolve over the 3 attempts that you had? And also what changed in your head between the DNF and the finish?
I think one of the biggest things was just not going into it with the same expectations and like just going with the flow a little bit more. I think when I went into Rocky and Grasslands, I took more of a mentality like you see with marathons and all. I'm going to be at this aid station at this time, and I'm going to need this food at this point, and this shirt at that point, and the day just really, it goes the way it's going to go, and there's not a lot that you can necessarily predict. So I went into it more with, here's a rough idea of when I'll be there, but I need at least this much stuff, or I need to have this as a backup plan. Less specifics, because then when those specifics didn't happen, it was less disappointing. I was like, oh, okay, like we're just going to keep going.
So do you now, when you're training for the race, bigger event again, do you have those kind of things when you're just doing the training as well, or do you go with that mindset?
Yeah, I definitely go into training more with a rough plan, and if I have a 2-hour run, then I pick a trail that I can do in like an hour and 45 to 2 hours and 15 minutes. If I run it faster, then I'll do a little bit of an out and back. If I do it slower, I make sure I have enough water and time in the day to give me that room, but just going with what the day gives you.
And also,
I'm not fast enough to be that particular about things.
You are fast enough, okay? You do 100 miles.
I got it done.
It's a huge achievement, okay? You need to be kind to it because it's hard, and the way you did it with the perseverance and then going back at it again, and I really commend that what you did. And I was following you, and I think I slept, and then I saw you finish the next morning, and I was like, wow, yes, let's go. That was like, I was happy for you.
Yeah, it's always funny to think when I do those things, some of the people who are watching me go about their day, they go to sleep, they wake up, and I'm still running.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about these low points. So when you are doing these incredible distances and when you are at this low, what does help? Visualization, mantras, or anything? Have you tried different things to talk you through out of it?
Not too much. I had the mantra in my head of forward is a pace and don't die in the chair. That's what I kept saying to myself. But other than that, the big thing is to just keep eating, drink more, get more electrolytes. A lot of times those lows are just because you're underfueled or you're running low on calories or whatever. So that's one of the big things that really helps move things along. Other than that, I think it's also one of those things, once you go through some tough races and you get to see some comebacks, even in some of my DNFs that I've had, I have a bad time and I bounce back. I just don't have enough time to finish the race or something else happens. Then you start to build that confidence of, yeah, this is a low point, but I've had low points before and I came out of them, so I just need to keep pushing until I get out of the low point. That's the other thing that you keep in mind.
And what were the advices that people gave you after your first DNF?
I mean, a lot of people just told me to get back and try again. Don't give up. Everybody has bad days. It's easy when you go on Instagram and all you're the people having big wins and stuff like that, and you forget that people struggle too. So it's good to see that other people struggle and makes you feel a little less alone in the whole thing.
Yeah, but we don't see a lot of struggle, right? Because I know you posted it, but we only see the win. People don't really post what happened. They don't post the struggle. I don't know, for whatever reasons. It's the Instagram is hard to escape sometimes because you are in this reality, right? So you just go in and you are just like, for me too, when I didn't achieve the goal and then everything was cheering, yes, I did it, and yes, I finished the thing, but I didn't got the goal, and it's demoralizing. It just feels sad, like I was not able to do it, but then people are celebrating the wins, and that's only people post though. Nobody posts, so I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the tough parts. One thing I did different was before the first races, all the videos of people running hundreds and stuff, I watched all the famous ones, which always have the elite runners and all their good days and all, but then this I watched more normal people like me, and you see a different side of it. You see that struggle more, you see something more realistic and put it in perspective a little better.
And also you talk a little bit about the feeding and stuff, so what is your current nutrition strategy? Has that changed over the past years?
If anything, I started taking in more and more, so I drink a lot of Tailwind when I do I try and mix in some kind of solid food as I go, but really just bumping that up, bumping up the electrolytes, bumping up the fluids, all that stuff. I think that was a big change for it, and making that more of a priority, just because, I feel good now and I don't want to stop running to fix my water bottle, get a gel or whatever. That doesn't pay off in the long run when you're out there for 24 hours. So making that the top priority, I think, was really important.
Do you think that is a very important factor when you're running these huge distances where people are running on the road, then nutrition might not be of a factor, but when you're doing this kind of big distances, do you have to make sure that you are on point with execution when it comes to nutrition?
Yeah, I think nutrition matters at every distance. You can still bonk in a marathon, and if you're coming in underhydrated and stuff for a 5K, you won't do as well. But the longer you go, the more it matters and the less wiggle room you have for messing it up. Because if you underfuel a marathon by a little bit, you might finish a little behind and a little underfueled and all that. But most people are done 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that. There's only so far behind you're really going to get, where you're out there for 24 hours. you can get really far behind and really far down the hole there. So not taking care of it in the beginning really can multiply the issue as you go through.
True. And also in like you have done so many these huge distances, what has worked you well? You talked about the tailwind, and also what has been a total disaster when it comes to this kind of events?
Yeah, tailwind is definitely my favorite thing. I started adding more like 1 hour I'll do tailwind and some kind of solid food. It can be anything from M&Ms to a banana, pretzels, something that's got like a different flavor to it. You mix up the flavors you have going through, but that kept things interesting, makes me more willing to do it, that kind of thing.
And also what has not worked for you?
I think only relying on fluids, you start to get really tired of drinking the same thing, of having the same flavors. Trying to carry less water, I think, was a big mistake I made. I'd rather carry a little bit of extra weight and have more water than run out, because when you run out of water, you start death marching, and that takes longer, and then it takes longer for you to bounce back. All those things, it's just the more into an issue you get, the harder it is to come back from it.
Were there any surprising food or drink that kind of made a difference in Dino Valley, or was it the same thing that you tried before?
No, one thing that was pretty surprising, I've always seen people doing like those, like the cup of noodles kind of dollar store ramen kind of thing. And I always thought that was silly, and why would I want hot noodles and that kind of thing. But at Dino at 2 a.m. I came back to the start finish area, and it was chilly then and I was tired, and you'd be amazed what a mental boost that hot cup of noodles was. Same cheap little foam cup of noodles, but when you're that hungry and you're that tired, it's the best tasting thing you've ever had. So it's a nice mood boost.
What was it? Which kind of noodle did you try?
Oh, just whatever the cheap stuff at the grocery store was. You get it for $1 in the foam cup. They just put hot water in it at the aid station, that kind of thing.
I was like, did you try some Korean thing, but it is spicy or not?
No, yeah, I didn't do anything spicy, just plain and salty.
It's good taste though. Like you said, when you're tired, when it tastes so much better.
Yeah, the hot broth and the cold, and that's so salty and everything, but that's what your body craves. It tastes even better.
Yeah. And also when you are doing these huge distances, your gears and stuff, so what are your go-to things that you need? Like, I need this for this kind of distances.
The biggest is definitely a good running vest. Something to carry all the water, all the snacks that you have. That's always a big thing for me. And then just having some kind of layers that you can throw in the vest, so that if you start to get cold or the weather starts to shift, you're able to take care of it then, and you don't have to get back to the aid station.
How important is it to carry like a rain jacket or anything when you're doing this kind of events?
I think it's pretty important, just from my own experience and struggling when rain shows up by surprise. Because I mean, it's different. You get hit by rain and cold at mile 40 when you have a long way to go. It's not the same as if you're out for your normal morning run and you run in the rain for half an hour and then you go home. You got to do a lot more prevention so that you're still doing good for the rest of the race.
Do you have any non-negotiable that you need when you're running these kind of big events?
Definitely like the vest and the jacket, some good anti-chafe stuff. Just all those things that seem like a little thing, but it starts to add up. That's always what I find most important.
So in this topic, has there anything related that has failed you or taught you a lesson when you had the DNFs and stuff like that? Would anything have helped you in this particular scenarios?
I think just being smarter about warmer clothes, putting them on earlier, not as soon as you start feeling a little chilly, start putting layers on. Don't think, oh, maybe it'll get better. I think that was really the biggest thing. All my shoes and stuff, there's not really any way to stay any drier. There's not a lot you can do there, but did get a better rain jacket because the other one I had just soaked right through. So that's probably one change I made.
Okay, and now let's talk about the surgery you had. And I know you took few months off, and I saw you've been like getting back to running. So how are you feeling, and how is the rehab going, or it is finished and you are just ready back to running 100 miles again?
Not back to running 100 miles. My training's pretty much back to normal. But yeah, I had a big surgery in December. Like I was telling you earlier, basically had a C-section. They cut everything open to fix my insides back up. Yeah, it was pretty humbling. You kind of have to start from scratch. Walking around the block was pretty difficult and tiring, but it was also a good reset. I had to start from the beginning, take it easy, do some strength stuff, all that kind of thing to get back into it. And now I've been fully cleared. You have to wait 3 months before you're allowed to start doing anything. But now I'm building back up to it. So I'm doing a 3-hour race in 3 weeks here in Texas, hopefully a 12-hour race in August. And then my hope is, assuming those go well, then I'll take another try at Rocky Raccoon in February. So that's when I'm aiming to get back into the 100-miler world.
And also, like when you have this kind of big surgery, and I know being a runner, I can feel that it's really hard not to get back. Then there is this Instagram that keeps adding salt to the wound because somebody else is running, and then you are just like, God, I wish I can run. And then you can see all these things as you are planning your return and everything. So how are you planning that mentally and physically?
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard seeing everybody else training and doing the whole thing. I think one of the big things for me is it's not my first surgery. I've had a couple major surgeries, so I'm used to it. And I've seen that while it's really hard for the first couple weeks, it's always surprising how quickly you get back into the flow of things. I still work with a running coach and trusting in him and his plan to get me back into it so I didn't overdo it. I think that's one of the biggest things is being careful that you don't overdo these things when you come back from a big injury. So yeah, there's just a lot of trusting the process that if I kept at it and stayed consistent, I'd get back to where I was before.
You just talked about like a spring race. Do you already have a spring 100 miles in your mind for your Western State ticket?
I mean, well, the ticket I have is for the lottery later this year. The earliest would be June 2026. I'm probably not going to do another 100-miler in 2025 just to make sure I keep rebuilding and I don't overdo it. And the finishing dyno, that got me a ticket for Western States. I'm qualified for the 2026. I'll do my next one so I can get a lottery ticket for the 2027 race, that kind of thing.
When you are doing this huge kind of event, like what do you have on a watch? I know Milton was asking a question of this kind of things, but you also have done it. What kind of watch do you use? Garmin, Apple?
Yeah, I have a Garmin watch, Forerunner. Battery lasts long enough.
That's what I suggested him too. 445 solar one.
The one
It's good, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does everything you need it to do. I think a lot of the other stuff has too many features.
And it's not too heavy too. I don't know if that makes any difference in the long run.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one less thing to think about.
And also, how many tickets are you holding onto right now?
Just have the one. You can get one each year. Since I DNF'd the other Rocky back in 2024, I didn't get any tickets for the 2025 race. I have my ticket for the 2026 race, and assuming I don't get in, then I'll get another ticket for the 2027 race, and your tickets start to multiply. See how many tries it takes me to get in. A lot of people, it can take a couple years to get enough lottery tickets to get in. The nice thing is they multiply, so you get a better chance of getting in each year.
And why Western States? What does that finish line mean to you deep down?
It's such a different world when you see it. I paced a friend who ran Western States back in 2022. I did 20 miles in the middle of the night with him, and then I did the last 6 miles into the finish line. And it's just, there's no way to describe how incredible it feels going across that finish line. It's such a goal that so many people have, and it's such a different world. I mean, it's like the fanciest of the 100-milers in a way. It's almost like the Boston of ultra running in its own way. When I was running around the track with him to finish the race, I was just like, I got to do this on my own someday. I wanted to have that feeling for my own accomplishment, not just going along with a friend getting to see it.
That sounds really nice. It's like Boston of trail running. That's really huge.
Yeah, it's the original one. It's the oldest one. It's just hard to explain until you see the world around it. But I know in my heart that I got to do it someday.
Is it better than Berkeley? Prestigious.
That's a whole nother monster. There is no chance I could ever do that. That is so far above my skill level. Even the most elite runners don't finish that one.
Yeah, I saw the conversion rate is really low. And I don't know if you remember, there was one woman who finished last year, and it was so nice to see that video when she was crossing it and made it just before the cutoff, I think 24 hours or something. Yeah, that was like so inspiring and amazing, like when you see people do and push themselves to go beyond and whatever they have in, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see that. And then this year they made it even tougher, so nobody finished. They had 0 finishes this year.
So it changes.
Yeah, they make little tweaks to it. Nobody knows what the official course is, so there's always little ways that they can make it harder.
Dang, that's one way to get you in.
Yeah, you have to be the elite of the elite runners to even have a chance to go, and even most of them don't finish.
So how many levels are there for the ultra running?
What do you mean?
Like you said, you have to be like elite level to finish those kind of races. So in what way, or what do you need to be able to do this kind of things? Or is the terrain like technical level, or like what is it based off?
Oh, that's its own secret. Nobody really knows. The people who have done it, they know what it takes to get into it. But it's not something that you sign up for or you qualify for. They get invites based on what their reputation is. It's all people who win big races or at the front of the pack for that kind of thing. People who are known for big adventure race kind of things. It's all professional runners going into that kind of race.
Okay. Since you do this kind of different type, right? So I don't know what the elevation was for the 3 races, Rocky Raccoon and then Dino and the Grasslands. So how do you train for different terrain levels, or do you adapt to what you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of adaptation. I think Dino, like 12,000 feet of elevation gain, 3,600 meters, pretty big chunk. It's a lot of, you just run hills over and over. I live in Texas, which is flat and there's not a lot going on, but for a lot of my weekend long runs, I would just go to a trail that had a big hill and I would run up and down that hill for 4 or 5 hours. You do what you can with what you got.
Okay. And also, do you do strength training? And is there like a particular exercises you are like, okay, I need to do this and I swear it works for ultra running?
I did some strength training. I'm trying to do it a little more consistently and focused now. But it's the same as road running. It's the same muscles and the same type of thing. You just beat them up in a different way. Lots of squats and lunges and single leg strength kind of stuff. Make sure your balance is really good.
Okay. And also, what is the best post meal you have ever had after your long race?
I always end up getting the same thing. I end up going to wherever the nearest McDonald's is after you leave the trail and just pig out, get some burgers and fries, get the saltiest thing that I can find.
You cannot get wrong with that.
You know, just something that you want to eat, because you'd be surprised how not hungry you are because you're so overdone, but you have to eat because you got to get all those calories back in. When we left Dino, there was a McDonald's right outside the park and my wife stopped there, picked up some food, kept driving us home. So I pigged out then and ordered more food when I got home. Just anything that looks good, you just got to keep eating.
The wildest or unexpected thing that you have seen in your ultra races?
Grasslands, a big coyote ran in front of me. That was a nice surprise. Didn't get too close, luckily, but I just looked down the trail and there was a big old coyote standing in the middle of it looking at me.
And also, we just talked about it. Apart from the Western races, like that's probably a dream race, but maybe, I don't know if it's something else that you want to run. But if you have this opportunity right now and somebody says that, okay, Angus, pick one race that you can do, which one would you pick and why?
I would definitely pick Rocky Raccoon 100 miler. I really want to go back and get redemption, actually finish one there. That's the other big one I want to do right now.
Okay. And also, you and I, we were talking about the J House thing, and I had no idea before you brought to me.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about it, because when I talked to you, you said that there's only like a bad information about it. So let's talk on the positive side. First of all, let's just explain what that is, because I don't think a lot of people understand what that is. So can you just give a like a little bit of brief introduction about it, like what it is?
Yeah, I had IBD for 5-6 years, ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks your colon. It makes you go to the bathroom a lot. You lose a lot of blood, you lose a lot of weight, all those fun things. In 2019, they took my colon out and they take your small intestine and they make it like a J shape on the inside. I still go to the bathroom normally. I don't have an ostomy bag like I had for 6 months. Everything's back inside of me. But that way I don't have the colon, so I don't have the place for the autoimmune disease to go after. So it really gave me my life back in the way where I was always afraid to leave the house, because a lot of times I never knew when I needed a bathroom, and if I couldn't find a bathroom under a minute, I'd be in trouble. And if you're driving to work, you gotta wait longer than that. But the J pouch, I pretty much lived my life normally. I went from not leaving the house to running 100 miles, so it made a huge difference for me.
Can you please give some unexpected positive news that has come from living with the J pouch?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just not really needing to worry about, you still worry about what you eat, but yeah, the difference is I might have a slightly rougher day, where before, when I was fully sick, if I was at a restaurant and I got some meal and they put spinach in it, it would mess my stomach up so bad I could be in the ER within a day or two. Not having to worry as much is one of the biggest things.
Has this experience made you stronger in ways you didn't expect, mentally, emotionally, and physically?
Yeah, when I came out of the surgery, it was the same as the surgery I had in November. It was a big win when they got me out of bed. After the surgery, I wouldn't even get out of the hospital bed, and they finally got me to stand up, and they got me to go for a walk around the floor on the hospital, and now I run every day. And I think it's always a big thing for me to help keep in mind where, you know, no matter how bad things get, you can always is get back to normal, get back stronger than you were before. I think that's one of the biggest things.
And also, do you think your relationship with running has changed for the better because of what your body has been through?
I don't know if it's for the better. It definitely makes it more possible for me to run because I don't need a bathroom as often as I used to. But it's funny because sometimes I think one of the reasons I got into ultra running was my body tried to kill me. Now I'm trying to push the limit as far as I can and get my revenge. I don't know if that's better. It's not necessarily the best thing, but it's definitely a big part of the reason why I do this whole thing.
And also, has the J-Pouch given you the deeper appreciation of what your body can do now?
Oh, absolutely. It shows you what the bottom looks like and then shows me what I can do to come back to the top. Always really gives me that benefit.
And also, has there been any moment where you have thought that I wouldn't be this version of myself without the J-Pouch?
Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten into ultra running without it. I think that it was such a big motivation for me to push the limits. I think if I didn't have it, I probably would have stopped at a half marathon and called that good enough and not really gotten into running.
All right, I think that are the standard questions I had for you. Now there is this rapid fire round. Let's finish with whatever comes to your mind. All right, here we go. Rocky or trail ultras with big climb?
Trail ultras with big climbs.
Best mid-race snack?
A pretzel M&Ms.
Dream race beside Rocky Raccoon and Western State?
That's a tough one. Probably Hard Rock in Colorado.
I thought you were going to say Berkeley.
No, that one wouldn't even cross my mind.
Do you think you can do it one day?
No, I don't. I think that's so far above and beyond what I'm capable of.
Okay. Headlamp you swear by?
I have the Ultra Aspire headlamp and I have the waist lamp that they do too. I use both of them.
What's harder for you? 3:30 a.m. miles or the first week of surgery?
Definitely the first week post-surgery.
More cloth piece of gear at Dino Valley?
Probably my buff to help with the dust.
Coffee or gel?
Gels.
Finish line tears? Yes or no?
A little bit.
All right, I think this is it. I believe this was a very nice conversation. Now I got to know more about you and your mindset, and I believe people will be inspired by what they have heard today because you have shown this resilience where you have kept going on and on even though the weather were not too good and favorable to your condition, and then you had the surgery and you are overcoming this and training to do this 100-mile race again and getting back to it. That's really inspiring, and you are one of the reasons I'm getting into the ultra races because I told you earlier where this confusion because you were doing these incredible things and I was like, okay, I need to do something to challenge my body or at least try it. But then when I talked to Milton and James and Erin, so I'm like, okay, I need to do this. So that's why I registered. So thank you for giving me a reason to challenge myself.
Yeah, no, it's always glad to chat, and I'm really excited to see how your ultra goes. I'm going to be following right along with your training.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I need to get back to it. I'm scared because I don't know what a technical trail is. So I need to learn about it. I just got the suit and there are a lot of things that I need to learn. Topic. Do you think I should use the poles?
If you practice with them, they're nice. But you got to learn how to use them and get some practice with them first.
Okay. I think I'm going to slide into DM whenever I can and try to get over this ultra list that I have.
Yeah, no, I like that.
All right. And thank you for your time. And I wish you the best for your upcoming races. And I know you are going to nail it down because I like your mindset and how stubborn you are when it comes to races. And that's really inspiring. And that's one of the things I really admire about you. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to you and have your story shared with everybody. And also we have some good talk and I hope it gives some education to people who only hear about bad things about J-Pouch. So with this, there are some positive stories about it out there.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey everyone.